Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. I hope you're having a good weekend. So today we're going to be talking about Ready to Love, Make a Move, Season 1, Episode 1. So what did you guys think of this episode for those who have watched it already? Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of it for those who had the chance to watch it. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, listen to this commentary, then go watch it for yourself. So today I'm going to be talking about the key things that I took away from it and my overall view about this first episode. Now, not a lot happened. It was the first episode, as you could expect, but these four ladies, Zadia, Ashley, Charisse, and Venetia, all are ready to find love again. So for this episode, they have a matchmaker called Tamika Lee, who is meant to be assisting them in finding love. So Tamika basically tells them that she's going to be showing them 24 men and they would have to choose one person each. So these girls chose all four men, right? And I was looking at the way they were having conversations with the people they chose. So Ashley was having conversations with the guy that she chose. The guy's name was Donald, right? So she chose Donald. She was asking him questions. Donald seemed very calm, very chilled, very laid back. And then, she was asking him about what he wanted and whatnot. Donald was like, he wants to get to know someone. He's looking for a friend, someone he can connect with. What was interesting was Ashley was going on about, I like you already. I'm like, girl, you just met this man. You need to dial it back. You need to chill. You need to get to know this person. You're still not dating in the right way. You need to take it down a few notches and chill. That's what I thought about that. And then Zadia was having a conversation with the guy she chose. And it was interesting. I just kept thinking, Zadia still has not changed. Zadia is still the same woman that we met on Ready to Love a few seasons back. She still has that same energy. Like, it's okay for you not to be interested in the guy you're talking to or the guy that you chose. Maybe you feel like his conversation game isn't it. I could tell like Zadia did not like, the questions that people get asked when they first start talking to someone. Like, oh, tell me about you. Oh, this. She just wanted it to like the conversation to happen organically. Because every time the guy asked questions, it was like the eye roll. And then it was like her saying, no, can we talk about this later? And I'm just like, girl, you still rude. That's not the energy that you should have, especially when you're trying to really welcome love or find love. Like, you should have gotten over that from your previous season. But she still comes across as abrasive as she was in the previous season and whatnot. So I'm hoping that we see a little bit more of her, but not in that negative light. I'm hoping that she's able to work through those things and have like almost like a camera or a mirror being shone on her for her to then realize, okay, this is not working for me. This is not how I should be living my life. Maybe I need to make certain adjustments, So that was that. Vernisha chose someone called Jabari. He was bald-head. She likes a bald-head men. And honestly, looking at them, they seem to have like a really good chat. I love Venetia. Venetia is my girl. I love her energy. I find her energy very welcoming. And I feel like that was what the conversation came across like. It felt like she really was open to having a conversation with this guy and genuinely wanted to get to know him. They laughed, they smiled. I was like, okay, this could be a good connection. But then I also know that the same thing that happened on Ready to Love, Venetia's season, was that she got in with Mr. Joel so early on in the episodes, and literally it was her and Joel, that was it, locked in, And so I feel that I hope she's taking her time, but I hope she's also not like stifling her connection by not letting stuff happen organically just because of how she feels about what has happened previously in her previous relationship with Joel. So Charisse chose someone called Antonio. So Antonio was wearing this like, pastel blue suit, I believe. And what was interesting was, Charisse does not really like dating men with kids. And, turns out Antonia had 3 kids with a 4-year-old. You could tell Charisse was definitely not pleased about that, but they seemed to have like an initial really good conversation to begin with. So, she didn't really sweat it at that stage. And then it seems all of the girls moved around to talking to the other guys that the girls chose, right? So Zadia went over to talk to Jabari. And it was funny because I was like, okay, for the first time, I'm seeing Zadia smiling, laughing, giggling, bantering back and forth. I was like, okay, Zadia. So I think this is what you want. You want someone who you guys can have like very surface level conversations to begin with, and then maybe perhaps then transition into having like deeper conversations at a later time. So it sounds like first date, she wants very light touch, and then maybe that can then move to something differently like later on, something like that. So I think that's probably what she was aiming for. But it was interesting. I was like, okay, Zadia seemed to really enjoy having a conversation with him. So they then went back to the matchmaker. Now the matchmaker was saying to them that their dates could be any of the 4 men tonight, which means that all the girls could also be dating the same men. And so they asked Ashley who she chose. She was so locked in with Donald. I was like, okay, Donald. So she's like, she likes his personality and she wants to get to know him. She also said something that struck me. She was like, she feels like he's answering her questions the way she wants him to answer her questions, as opposed to like, being like pretty much honest about how he feels and stuff. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, then why give him an opportunity to go on a date with you? If you could sense that early on, then what was the point of then having a date with this man? I would have been like, no, not interested. I would have chosen someone else. Because if you feel like someone is not being genuine with you, you should trust your intuition on that. That's what I would say. Charisse basically said she wanted to go out with Antonio because he has a military background and he's still willing to have kids, and that she wants kids. So she feels like, they could be like she wants to go on a date with him. I was like, okay, cool. Venetia chose Jabari. I'm like, yes, girl, that's exactly who you should have chosen. And then Zadia chose Jabari as well. So she was like, she had a really good conversation with Jabari and she wanted to explore that. I was like, okay. Venetia, I guess her facial expressions were a little bit like, but she seemed to have dealt with it okay, right? And so fast forward now to the date where Ashley and Donald were together, right? So they went on a date and whatnot. And she starts telling him, like, she wants to make sure he isn't showing his representative, and that she wants someone who likes who she is, that she's lit from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'll be honest, I don't really see Donald as her connection. I feel like she's the one that is leading that connection. He ain't. He's just kind of like going with the flow. I don't get the impression. I know he says, oh, he likes her personality and he's never met anyone with her personality before. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know if I think that they're a good match. I feel like someone with Ashley's personality needs someone calm, yes, but not someone that calm. I feel like she needs someone who is, a little bit, with a little bit more energy to bounce off her energy. And also, I feel like with people like Ashley, sometimes the reason why they're on 10 is because they feel like if they're not on 10, the conversation will not flow the way it needs to flow. And so I feel like someone who is maybe a 7 or a 6, as opposed to like a 4 or a 3. Do you know what I mean? Like someone who can bring a little bit more balance to that side of her by having more of a calmer disposition. However, still being able to match that energy, still being able to like bounce things off her and not be looking at her as a, oh my God, like something that he found in a museum that he's never really experienced, I don't know if I'm communicating that quite clearly. Let me know what you guys think. You guys are allowed to disagree with me. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Just let me know. Go on and let me know. Okay, so I think I might have so I think Ashley chose Donald. Cherise went out with Antonio. So as soon as she saw Antonio, she's like, why is he wearing a vest without a suit over it? So she was not feeling that at all. And then she's like, that's superficial. She knows that she could, or women could change that. So, okay, cool. So then once he opened his mouth and said his age, that was when it all went south for them, because he basically told her he's 38. And she did not like that. She was like, oh, that means I'm older than you. And then she went on to talk about the fact that, it concerns her that he has a 4-year-old, and she just feels like, is he going back there to dip it and do it? And also he was wondering, like, why couldn't he make it work with her? And, he was like, oh, it was like toxic, blah, blah, blah. What I'm trying to figure out is it 3 kids with the same woman? Is it 3 kids with 2 different women? Like, which is it? Right? Because if it's 3 kids with the same woman, I'm like, okay, the first child, you did not know. When you had the first child, didn't you know she was toxic? Second one, did you know she was toxic? But you still went ahead to have a 3-year-old with her. Okay. So that is something that I would love to know the answer to. So hopefully they show that, or at least give us a little bit more of context at some point. And then she asked him if he had ever cheated before. He was like, yeah, back in the day he had cheated. But basically he's not a cheater. And then she was like, cheating is a deal breaker for her. And then, and then he was like, well, it's a deal breaker for everyone. And then he said, well, some people would stay. And she's like, I will not be staying. I'm like, okay, girl. Like, fine. There's no connection here. Run along. Like, you guys just separate. Like, I feel like Charisse became a lot more direct towards him. Once she found out his age, she was like, yeah, nah, he's too young for me. And I think that's where it all went south. Or perhaps when she saw him wearing that vest, she was like, heck no. But yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Jabari and Venetia. So Jabari and Venetia met up. It honestly felt like their connection was, organic. They seemed to be laughing a lot. He was saying about he used to be out and about. But, he ran the streets. Now he wants to settle down. And he asked her, like, what does she bring to a man? And she's like, everything. I'm like, yes, mama, I know that's right. And, she was talking about how she's a nurturer, knows how to take care of her family, homemaker, and she's also hardworking. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. You better tell him, because sometimes some people don't really know how to proclaim the things that they would bring to a relationship or bring to their man. Like a lot of women are like, yeah, he must bring this to the table, but what do you bring to the table? So like I was glad that she was able to communicate those things that she brought to the table. Of course I know Ready to Love would have cut bits out, but it would have been nice to see more of them having a dialogue about those things. Okay, let's move on to Jabari and Zadia. So there was a point where they had a tarot card reading. I'm not going to talk about that. You'll know I'm not into those sort of things on this channel. So I'm going to move on from that. And then Zadia, basically, they started talking about like having children, right? And so Zadia was like, yeah, nah, she sees herself being married and whatnot. Traveling the world with a partner. She doesn't necessarily see kids in her future within those 5 years. And so he seemed surprised. And he was like, oh, he thought like most women would want to like have like children. And, I think in his mind, he is associating that you can't be, or don't women want to be a nurturer? So it's like, who would you be nurturing if you don't have children? And I think that's what I was getting from him in the way in which he was responding to Zadia. So Zadia then said, she may be open to having children if certain contracts are involved. I'm like, oh my God. I don't think, I don't think that went down well with him, to be completely honest. But she was saying in her confessionals that she thinks she needs to have some cash for like a nip and talk. And, it needs to be written in the contract that she can't wake up early on Saturdays. I'm like, girl, yeah, okay. But this is the thing. If those are the only two reasons why you don't want to have children, then I just feel like, but then again, who am I to tell you what your reasons should or shouldn't be? Everyone is allowed to make a choice. I know some people might feel like, oh, she shouldn't have communicated that quite early. I don't know. For me, I'm a believer of being honest. And so for me, from day one, I'm going to be honest with where I am, what my position is. And from day one, I believe in being completely honest. I believe in setting forth and, be honest about where your standards are, what your standards are, and where things are at. I don't believe in like leading people on. Moving on, Zadia was by the poolside. Ashley came to meet her and just chat with her. And Ashley was asking her, like, how does she like living with other women? Zadia was like, she's used to her own routine, her own space and whatnot and that. But she's going to try and make an effort to connect with the other girls. Somehow they started talking about like turkey burgers. Ashley was like, oh, she's gonna make some turkey burgers today. And then Zadia was asking about her recipe. She's like, I ain't telling you, but Google us. We have 2 restaurants. We've had 2 restaurants. We sold one, got another. And then somehow she got into how her dad passed on, and how he was murdered. It was very, very sad to hear that. And, it was very, very heartbreaking to see her cry and to see her be so upset about it. And I can only imagine, like, that sounds very horrific, like watching your parent die in front of you, especially for something that they didn't even have nothing to do with. He was trying to be a protector in that moment, and she said something that was very loud. She was like, maybe this is why she's still single, because she is looking for someone who is like her father. She's literally looking for that in a man, someone who protects and provides, and yeah. And I definitely get that, and she will definitely find her match eventually. I just hope, like, she really deals with the root of certain things, because I don't think there's certain things that I'm seeing now, and I don't want to speak too soon, that is making me think, is she really healed to the point of being ready for a relationship, or is she not there yet? My first reaction would be she still has some ways to go, which we all do, right? But I don't know if whatever work she's done so far is enough to be at this point where you're like, okay, yeah, you're ready. But I guess it also depends on like who she chooses, how much of a patience level they have, how they interact, and all of that. But when she said one bullet took her whole life away, I was like, that honestly hit differently. I'm so sorry for Ashley. Like, I hope wherever she is, I hope like things worked out for her. I will say that. Okay, much on a lighter note, the girls went back to the matchmaker, and so they sat down with the matchmaker. Matchmaker was telling them that they chose the first date and that she was going to be choosing their next date. So I was like, okay, I like that. Ready to Love is like switching it up a little bit. So yeah, this should be interesting. But the girls were now talking about their dates. I'm not going to cover all of that, but what I am going to cover is Zadia's facial expression when Venetia talked about how Jabari asked for her number after the date. I do not think she likes that at all. she really didn't. Like, her facial expressions now, it could be Ready to Love has cut and edited something, but if they didn't, that facial expression was definitely telling volumes, okay? Volumes. And what was then interesting was, after that, I thought they had a decent date. She was smiling the whole time. She was like, oh, she got friend vibes from him. I feel like that was only in response because she knew that Jabari already chose Venetia. Because let's be honest, if we both go on dates with men and this same guy chose to ask you for your number but didn't ask me, the answer is clear. He's already chosen her. He already chose her. And I think that's what it was. So she was like, yeah, before he has to communicate this to me, I better like just come out here and say we're in the friend zone. So that's what I got. But let me know what you guys got. Those are the key things that I think happened on today's episode. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Your girl is trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to all those who have subscribed so far. I've gained like 40 something subscribers in the space of like a couple of days. So I appreciate you guys for coming through and subscribing. So yeah, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tap that bell for notifications. Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Let me know which of the couples or which of the girls you guys are rooting for in the comment section below, and I will see you guys later. Bye.